So you're taking on the telc B2 exam. I know, it can feel like this huge mountain to climb. But what if you had a map? What if you had a clear strategy? That's what this is all about. We're going to build a clear, strategic guide to not just face this exam, but to absolutely conquer it. Let's dive in. And this is why we're here. This message from a fellow language learner on Reddit, it just captures the whole thing, right? The stress, the grind, the anxiety, and then that incredible feeling of success. This isn't just about passing a test, it's about unlocking a future. And that's exactly where you're headed. Okay, so how are we going to get you there? Well, here's our game plan. First, we need to decode the exam itself. Know thine enemy, right? Then we'll build a dedicated playbook for the written part and another one for the oral part. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the ultimate strategy checklist that you can take with you right into exam day. Look, to win any game, you have to know the rules. And the telc B2 is no different. The first and most critical step is really understanding its structure. It's all about taking control of the exam instead of letting it control you. And let's be real about why this matters so much. This isn't just some random academic hoop to jump through. For a lot of you, the B2 certificate is the key that opens the door to universities in Germany. It's an absolute must-have for many professions, especially in the medical field. So yeah, what you're grinding for. It has massive real-world value. All right, let's break this beast down. The exam is split into two big chunks, written and oral. But here's what you've got to notice right away, the timing. You get a pretty generous 90 minutes for reading and language elements. But then it's a rapid-fire 20 minutes for listening and a super tight 30-minute sprint for writing. The oral exam itself is just 15 minutes, but you get 20 minutes to prep. Getting these times locked in your head is step one of your strategy. Okay, and this chart, it basically screams at you where to focus your energy. The written exam isn't just a bigger piece of the pie. It's practically the whole pie. It's 3/4 of your total score, a massive 225 points out of 300. This means how you do in reading, listening, and writing carries an absolutely huge amount of weight. And here's the kicker. This is so important. You can't bomb one part and hope to make it up on the other. It just doesn't work like that. You have to get at least 60% in the written exam, which is 135 points, and you have to get at least 60% in the oral exam, which is 45 points. Think of them as two separate hurdles you have to clear to get to the finish line. Okay, so now that we know the stakes, let's build your playbook for that massive written exam. We're going to move past just knowing what's on the test to mastering some real actionable strategies, especially for that super high-pressure writing section. You know, one of the biggest mistakes people make, it's so simple but so common, is that they don't actually answer the question they were asked. The AAA formal is your secret weapon against this. Before you write a single sentence, you look at the Aufgabe, the task, you analyze what's really being asked, and then you build your answer, to hit that target precisely. It sounds almost too simple, right? But trust me, this is an absolute game changer. All right, now here's where things get interesting. There's kind of two schools of thought on this. One camp says you have to plan first. Take a couple minutes, sketch out a clear structure, maybe using a framework like the MEGS plan. The other camp says, are you kidding? You've only got 30 minutes. There's no time to plan, just write. And honestly, there's no single right answer. You have to ask yourself, are you a planner? Do you need that map before you start the journey? Or do you just go for it and figure it out along the way? So if you're in team plan, here's a fantastic little trick to manage that 30-minute sprint. It's the 2-8-5 rule. You give yourself a strict 2 minutes to plan your structure. Then you spend about 8 minutes on each main part of your text just writing focused sentences. And, this is crucial, you save about 5 minutes at the end just for correction. See? It's not just about getting it done, it's about getting it done well. And for that last 5 minutes, that correction phase, don't just skim it randomly. Use a targeted checklist like this VKNS check. This is like your secret weapon. It forces you to hunt for the big, juicy grammar points that get you the highest marks. Is your verb in the right spot? Are your sentence clummers or brackets correct? Did you put the verb at the end in your Nebensatz, your subordinate clauses? And have you varied your sentence beginnings, your Satzanfänge? This is how you snag those top marks. Okay, let's switch gears. We're moving on to the oral exam. And here's the thing. A lot of people think the goal is just to speak German. Nope. The real goal is to interact in German. And believe me, there's a huge difference. So this part of the exam is broken into 3 little chunks. First, you give a short presentation about something you know, like a book or a trip.
Then you get into a discussion about a more controversial topic with your partner. And finally, you have to work together to plan something. You see how it builds? It starts with you talking, then moves to a back and forth, and finally you're working together.
And this right here is the biggest trap people fall into. They prepare their little speech, they wait for their turn, they deliver it, and then they just tune out while their partner talks. The examiners are not looking for two great speeches. They want to see a conversation, a real one. They are testing your interactive skills.
So, how do you make sure you don't fall into that trap? Well, I've got a super simple but really powerful tool for you, the LISA technique. You need to actively listen and show it. You need to interact by asking questions, signal your opinion, agree or disagree, and ask questions to keep the ball rolling. It's all about making it a team effort. You're building that conversation together.
Whew, okay, we have covered a ton of ground. So let's boil it all down into one final, super powerful checklist. Think of it as your mission brief for exam day.
All right, here it is. First up, the AFFF. Make sure you're always answering the actual question. Then decide on your writing strategy, plan versus write. And if you plan, use a structure like the MEGS plan. Manage your time with the 2-8-5 rule. Proofread like a pro with the VKNS check. And for the oral exam, remember LISA. Interact, not just talk. These are your tools for success. And if you need a little shot of confidence, remember this. Having a strategy works. Some reports show a pass rate as high as 90% for students who use this kind of targeted preparation. You're not just crossing your fingers and hoping for the best. You are actively preparing to succeed. Big difference. All right, as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to get you started. Because watching this is great, but now it's your turn to actually do something. We've talked about common traps and powerful strategies. So what's the first thing on your list? What's that one weakness you're going to attack first and turn into a strength?